Hi, welcome to Preeminent Test Prep. Today I'll be taking you through the Math No Calculator section of SAT Practice Test 1. I'll be showing you how to move efficiently through the Math No Calculator section and how to recognize patterns on this section in order to hopefully improve your SAT score. Make sure to subscribe as we will be releasing videos for every SAT section on all 10 College Board practice tests. Question 1. If x minus 1 divided by 3 equals k and k equals 3, what is the value of x? Well, if we're told k equals 3, we can go ahead and substitute 3 in for k in this equation. So we'll be left with x minus 1 divided by 3 equals 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try and isolate x. So we're going to multiply by 3 to get rid of this denominator here, and then we're going to have to multiply by 3 to the other side of the equation as well. So we'll be left with 3 times 3, which is 9, equals x minus 1. We're going to add 1 to both sides to isolate x. 9 plus 1 gets us 10. We're left with x equals 10. We're asked for the value of x, which we have here. We know that x equals 10. So the answer is D. Question 2. For I is equal to the square root of negative 1. What is the sum 7 plus 3i plus negative 8 plus 9i? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our whole numbers here. So we're going to have 7 plus our negative 8. 7 plus negative 8 is the same as 7 minus 8, which is negative 1. Now we're going to go ahead and add our imaginary numbers. So we're going to have 3i plus our 9i. 3i plus 9i is equal to 12i. Now look how I arranged this in a row so I can quickly add it, right? So now we're going to have negative 1 plus 12i. That's going to get me my answer of negative 1 plus 12i. Find our answer in the multiple choice. Our answer is A. Question 3. On Saturday afternoon, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours. Tyrone sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours. Which of the following represents the total number of messages sent by Armand and Tyrone on Saturday afternoon? So we need to know the total number of messages sent by both of them. Well, Armand, he sends M text messages, so that's his rate, each hour for 5 hours. So his total is going to be the amount of hours he spends sending them multiplied by his rate of M, right? Now Tyrone, he's sending P text messages each hour, so that's his rate for 4 hours. So we're going to have plus 4P, right? And that gets us Armand's total plus Tyrone's total, gets us the total sent by both of them, 5M plus 4P, which means the correct answer is C. Question 4. Kathy is a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that need repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with the equation P equals 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week. What is the meaning of the value 108 in this equation? Well, we know P is the number of phones she has left, right? So if she doesn't work any days, she has 108 phones left to fix. Well, that means she's starting each week with 108 phones that she has left to fix. So let's go ahead and run through and see if we can find an answer with that. A. Kathy will complete the repairs within 108 days. No, that's not what it means. Kathy starts each week with 108 phones to fix. Yes. So B is our answer. Question 5. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? If you try to just go ahead and start this without a plan, it could be overwhelming. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and find my like terms, right? So I have x squared y, I'm going to underline it. Over here I've got x squared y, so I'm going to underline it. Keep in mind there's a subtraction sign here. We're not doing addition, okay? So you got to pay attention to the signs as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and circle my y squareds. So I've got a y squared here, and I've got a y squared here. Now I'm going to go ahead and box my xy squareds. Alright, and you'll see why I do this in a minute. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and simplify this really quick, right? So I've got x squared y. Now I've got minus negative x squared y. Well, minus and negative means plus, right? We're doing addition now. So plus x squared y. That's going to give me 2 x squared y. Next we have minus 3y. Minus 3y squared, I mean. Now minus 3y squared, and then we have minus negative 3y squared. Okay, minus negative 3y squared becomes plus 3y squared. Negative 3y squared plus 3y squared, that just gets us 0. Now we go to the terms that we boxed, right? So we have 5xy squared. So we're going to go ahead and do 5xy squared minus 3xy squared. 5xy squared minus 3xy squared leaves us with 2xy squared. Now I've got these all in a column that I can just go ahead and add them, right? So now what I'm left with 2x squared y plus 0, so we don't have to include that, and then plus 2xy squared. So now we just find our answer that matches. None of A, B, or D match. C does match. C is our correct answer. Question 6. A pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age in years between the ages of 2 and 5. Based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? Well, we know each year he ages is an increase of 1 in A. An increase of 1 in A is correlated to an increase of 3 in his height. So we know our answer is 3. Question 7. The formula above gives the monthly payment M needed to pay off a loan of P dollars at R% annual interest over 9 months. Which of the following gives P in terms of M, R, and N? Whenever you see something asking which of the following gives a variable in terms of the others, you don't really have to pay attention to this part. You can just go ahead and start solving and working with the equation. So right here, I'm going to show you a quick trick to make this really simple and make it so you can kind of memorize this trick and move very fast on future SATs. So when you're asked for P, what you're going to do, and I'll show you with a simpler example. Let's say x equaled 1/2 y, and we were asked to solve for y, which is the same thing as this but with different variables. We would go ahead and multiply by 2 to both sides, right, to go ahead and get rid of this and isolate y, and we'd have y equals 2x over 1. So just 2 over 1. So what happened? Our denominator and our numerator just went over here and got flipped. So that's all we're going to do with this. This, our denominator, will become our numerator on this side. And then this here, it becomes the denominator. Right? So all we got to do is we just got to look for where 1 plus r over 1,200 to the power of n minus 1 is on the numerator by the m here. Right? So let's go ahead and look. A? No, A has it in the denominator, and that's wrong. B? Does B have it? It does. Does it have our numerator on our right side by P and the denominator on the side by m? It does. So B is going to be our correct answer there. Question 8. If A over B equals 2, what is the value of 4B over A? Well, if A over B equals 2, we can go ahead and say, we'll just call it 2 over 1 to make it simple, right? Well, now we know that A here is equal to 2 and B is equal to 1. Now we just put in our variables here, right? So now we're going to have 4 times B. B is 1, so 4 times 1 just stays 4. We're going to divide by A. We know A is 2. This leaves us with 4 over 2. 4 over 2 is equal to 2. Answer is C. Question 9. What is the solution with the xy coordinates to the system of equations above? So what we're going to do here, we're going to try and isolate x. Since x is singular, that's going to be the easiest way to do this. We're going to isolate x, plug it in here to solve for y, and then we're going to go ahead and find our points, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go 2y minus x equals negative 19. Okay, I'm going to add x to both sides so I can isolate it. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add 19 to both sides so we have x all alone. Okay, so now what am I left with? I'm left with x equals 2y plus 19. Now I'm going to substitute that in here for the x by the 3. So now I'm going to have 3 times 2y plus 19 plus 4y equals negative 23. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and multiply my 3 by my 2y and by my positive 19. 3 times 2y is going to get me 6y. 3 times 19 is going to be 57. And I still got 4y left here, and I have that equal to negative 23. 6y plus 4y gets us 10y plus 57 equals negative 23. We're going to go ahead and subtract 57 from each side. Negative 23 minus 57 is going to give us negative 80. So we are left with negative 80 equals 10y. We need to isolate y, so we're going to divide by 10. Right, so we got negative 80 over 10 equals y. Right, our zeros cancel. We're left with y equals negative 8. Okay, so we're going to go find our y's, look for one with negative 8. Only one with negative 8 is b. We can go ahead and check our answer too. So we're going to take that negative 8y, we're going to plug it in here for this 2. So now we have 2 times negative 8, 2 times negative 8. That's going to give us negative 16. Negative 16 minus what number gives us negative 19? Negative 16 minus 3 gives us negative 19. It works. Both work. Question 10. For the function g defined above, a is a constant and g of 4 equals 8. What is the value of g of negative 4? Well, if we go ahead and we look at this equation, we see that x is squared, right? So when we plug in that 4 for that x, we get 4 squared, which is 16. We know that a stays the same whether we use negative 4 or 4, and we know our plus 24 stays the same, right? So 4 squared equals 16. Well, now we need to know what negative 4. What's g of negative 4? Well, what's negative 4 squared, right? Well, negative 4 squared, that's also 16. So our answer is going to remain the same. The answer will remain 8. Question 11. In the equations above, B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken, respectively, X weeks after July 1 during last summer. What was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? Well, to find out what the price per pound of beef was when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken, we're going to have to set these equations equal, right? And then we're going to have to solve for X, because X is the amount of weeks after July 1 during last summer. And then we're going to plug in our X to find what the price was. So we'll go ahead and set up our equation. We'll have 2.35 plus 0.25 x equals 1.75 plus 0.4 x. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract 0.25 x. The reason I choose that one is because it leaves me with a positive x value. Right, so I subtract it from both sides, and I'm left with 0.15 x. Now I need to subtract this 1.75 from both sides so I can isolate my x. Okay, 2.35 minus 1.75, that's going to leave me with 0.6. Okay, my 0.6 is equal to my 0.15x. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 0.15. That cancels. Divide by 0.15 over here. So now I'm left with 0.6 over 0.15 equals x, right? Now x, we just think, okay, 0.15 times what equals 0.6? That's 4. They could put 4 here. Don't answer that, okay? Remember, x, that's weeks after July 1, okay? We don't want that. We want the price per pound of beef when it's equal to the price per pound of chicken. So we're going to go ahead and plug in our 4 weeks, right? We're going to go 2.35 plus 0.25 times 4. Okay, 0.25 times 4, that's 1, right? 1 plus 2.35, that's going to give us 3.35. That's going to be our answer. Question 12. A line in the xy plane passes through the origin. That means y-intercept is 0. And has a slope of 1,7, right? So this is going to be our equation here. We have a slope of 1,7x, and we know our y-intercept is 0. So you can have that 0 there. You can not have it. It doesn't matter. Now, which of the following points lies on the line? Well, let's think here. Our slope, it's less than 1. If our slope is less than 1 and our y-intercept is 0, plot this out to show you, our x has to be greater than our y, right? So which one has an x greater than our y? They're equal here. Right here, x is less than y. Right here, x is less than y. Right here, x is greater than y. This is the only plausible solution without even checking the numbers. And we can check the numbers real quick. We'll go ahead and plug in 14 for x. 14 over 7, that's 2. Y, 2, it works. That's the solution. Moving on to question 13. If x is greater than 3, which of the following is equivalent? Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and solve for the sum of this first. So I'm going to ignore this 1 divided by it for now, just for now, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I need a common denominator in order to add these. So I've got 1 over x plus 2. I'm going to have to multiply it by x plus 3 divided by x plus 3. And that works because x plus 3 over x plus 3 is 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and have to add that over here to my 1 over x plus 3. I got to multiply that one by x plus 2 over x plus 2 because I need that common denominator. Right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and add, right? So I've got my x plus 3 plus my x plus 2 all divided by my x plus 2 times my x plus 3. Okay, now we go back here. We have 1 divided by all of this. How do we write that? We're going to go ahead and write 1 over 1, okay, because that's still 1. And now we're dividing by all of this. When we're dividing by a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we multiply by this flipped. So the denominator goes on top now. So now we've got 1 times x plus 2 times x plus 3 divided by x plus 2 plus x plus 3. Right? So now we look, right? This 1 times 1, this 1 over 1 remains the same. So this is really just, this right here is what we got, right? So now we're going to go x plus 2 plus x plus 3. Well, what's x plus x? That's going to give me 2x. Now what's 3 plus 2? That's going to give me 5. 2x plus 5. That's going to give me my denominator, right? So I'm going to go and check, where do we have a denominator of 2x plus 5? We only have it in one spot, and that's b. So b is going to be my answer there. Question 14. If 3x minus y equals 12, what is the value of 8 to the power of x divided by 2 to the power of y? Well, right here, what we know is we know that 8 is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Okay? And here's why we need that. 3x minus y, when we have 3x minus y, it gives you an if statement. We want to find a pattern that's going to get us there. Because if they give you an if statement, there's probably a pattern or a trick you can use to get that answer. And it's going to be needed, right? So our 8 to the power of x, we can simplify that to 2 to the power of 3rd. What we know is we know that 2 to the power of 3, we still have this x, so we have 2 to the 3x over 2 to the power of y. Okay, so 2 to the power of 3x divided by 2 to the power of y. When we have the same base, right, we have the same base of 2. So here's what this means. With the same base of 2, it means when we divide, we're going to have 2 to the power of 3x minus y, right? So 2 to the power of 3x minus y. We're told 3x minus y is equal to 12, so we know that that's going to equal 2 to the power of 12. Correct answer is A. Question 15. If A times the quantity ax plus 2 times bx plus 7 is equal to 15x squared plus cx plus 14 for all values of x, and a plus b equals 8. When you're given an and statement, pay attention, it's probably important. What are the two possible values for c? Alright, so we need to solve for c. But to solve for c, what we're first going to do is we're going to have to end up solving for a and b, okay? And I'll show you why here. We're going to go ahead and FOIL this, right? So we're going to have to multiply our ax times our bx, right? And that's going to give us ab x squared. And then we're going to have plus 2bx. And then we're going to have plus 7ax. And then we're going to have plus 7 times 2, 14. Okay? Now we know that that is going to equal our 15x squared plus cx plus 14. Alright, well, we know AB right here has to equal our 15, okay? So we know A times B equals 15. So we also know A plus B equals 8, right? So we need factors of 15 that add to 8. What are factors of 15 that add to 8? 3 and 5, okay? And it doesn't matter which one you pick for A and which one you pick for B. We're going to have to do them both. So we're going to go ahead and say A is 3, we'll pick B as 5, right? Now we're going back here, okay? Okay, we need this to equal C of x, right? So our x's, they don't matter, right? Because it's just getting added, right? So what we need is we need the C value. So we got 2b plus 7a is going to give us our C. Well, we said b is 5, so we're going to have 2 times 5 plus 7. We said a is 3, so 7 times 3 is going to equal our c. 2 times 5, that's 10. 10 plus 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, so we've got 10 plus 21. That's going to give us 31, all right? 31 is going to be one of our answers. And if you're crushed for time, go ahead and put that and move on. But if you have time, go ahead and check the other one to make sure. So we'll say b is 3 this time, and we'll say a is 5. Well, if b is 3, let's go ahead and plug it in, right? So we had 2 times b, which will be 3 this time, plus 7 times our a, which will be 5 this time, right? So 2 times 3, that's going to be 6. 6 plus 7 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. We're going to be left with 6 plus 35. 6 plus 35 is 41. Our answers are going to be 31, 41, so our answer is D. Okay, now we've got question 16. Now we start the fill in the blank section. If t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 equals 0, what is the value of t? Well, we know t has to be positive because it has to be greater than 0, so we'll go ahead and start solving. So we have t squared minus 4 equals 0. So we're going to go ahead and add 4 to both sides to isolate t squared. And we are left with t squared equals 4. Well, we need to isolate t, so we're going to go ahead and square root t squared. And we also have to square root 4, because what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So the square root of t squared is t, and the square root of 4 is equal to plus or minus 2. But we know that t has to be positive, because that is stated in the if statement. So we know that t has to equal 2. Question 17. A summer camp counselor wants to find a length, x, in feet across a lake as represented in the sketch above. The lengths represented by AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch were determined to be 1,800 feet, 1,400 feet, 700 feet, and 800 feet respectively. Segments AC and DE intersect at B, and angle AEB and angle CDB have the same measure. What is the value of x? Well, we know that we have vertical angles right here where these lines intersect, so those angles must be the same. We also know that we have angle D and angle E here. They are also the same angle measure. Because we know that these triangles, their angles have to add to 180, and we know that they each have angle ED, and then these two vertical angles, we know that angle A up here has to equal angle C. And now we see we have similar triangles. In similar triangles, the proportions of their side lengths, they're proportional. So we're going to have x, and we always put our variable on top because it makes the math easier when we're doing proportions. So we're going to put x on top. So what is x? What is x corresponding side length on the smaller similar triangle over here, right? So while we have it from angle with 3 lines down to the angle with 1, right? So we're looking for the one with 3 to the angle with 1. So we have 3 here at C going to angle 1. So that's going to be CD. CD, we'll look down here. CD is our last in this series of side lengths. So we know CD will be last here because it says that they are listed respectively. So we know CD will be 800. Okay, so we know x will equal 800. Okay, now we have to find what it's going to go over. So let's pick one of these, right? So we know that we have A to B is 1,800 feet, right? So we'll go ahead and put that down. A to B is 1,800 feet. So that's from 3 to 2. So are we given C to B? Because that would be our 3 to 2 on this side right here. Are we given C to B? Let's see. We are not given C to B. So we're going to have to find a different one. Are we given E to B then? Let's find it. So E to B is listed second. We'll find our second number listed. Our second number listed is 1,400. So we're going to have 1,400 right here. Now we got to find ours from 1 to 2 on our smaller similar triangle. So that will be from B to D. Well, B to D is our third in our series. So we'll find our third number in our series, and that's 700. So we have 700 here. So we'll go ahead and put x here over our 1,400 here. And then we are left with 800 over the same corresponding side over here. So that was from 1 to 2. From 1 to 2 over here is 700. So now, looking at this, when we're taking the SAT math section, we're always looking for patterns or relationships. here we see that 1400 right there is 2 times our 700 right here. Okay, so now if we know that our 1400 is 2 times our 700, we know our x will equal 2 times our 800, right? Which means that x will equal 1600, because 2 times 800 is 1600. So 1600 will be our answer. Question 18. X plus y equals negative 9. X plus 2y equals negative 25. According to the system of equations above, what is the value of x? Okay, so here's what we're looking for. This right here, it's a pattern. It's going to show up on the SAT with the calculator section and the SAT no calculator section. Look at this. We can solve for y. All we got to do is we got to subtract this equation from this one, right? So we do that. We go x plus y equals negative 9 minus x plus 2y equals negative 25, right? So x minus x, well, that gets us 0. Y minus 2y, that gets us negative y. And then negative 9 minus negative 25 minus a negative 25. We're adding, right? So negative 9 plus 25 gets us 16. Negative y equals 16. Well, that means y will equal negative 16. Now we plug it in. Okay, so we have x plus y equals negative 9. I'm going to use that because they're both 1, right? X and y are both 1. It's going to be quicker. So now I'm going to have x plus negative 16 equals negative 9. Okay, right? So I got x minus 16, so I got to add 16 to both sides to isolate x. Sorry, that will equal 0. Right, negative 9 plus 16. Negative 9 plus 16 gets us positive 7, so we know our x will equal 7. Our question is, what is the value of x? The value of x is 7. Question 19. In a right triangle, one angle measures x, where the sine of x is equal to 4 over 5. What is 90 minus x? Well, the sine of x equals 4/5. We're going to go ahead and put our square root symbol there. We'll call this angle here x. All right. We know the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So we're going to have 4 on our opposite, 5 on our hypotenuse. We're asked for what the cosine of 90 minus x is. Well, let's look at this. We've got 90 minus x. We'll call that angle y for now, right? Well, let's think. There's 180 degrees in a circle. We have a right angle right here. So we're down to 90 left, right? 90 minus this angle x, that's going to give us our other angle y, right? Now what's cosine? Well, cosine's adjacent over hypotenuse. What's the adjacent one? 4. What's the hypotenuse? 5. So our answer here is going to be 4/5. Question 20. If a is equal to 5 times the square root of 2 and 2a is equal to the square root of 2x, what is the value of x? Well, let's think here. We're given a, so we're going to go ahead and plug that in. So we're going to have 2 times 5 times the square root of 2, and that's going to equal the square root of 2x. So we're going to go ahead and multiply our 2 by our 5 times the square root of 2. We're going to get 10 times the square root of 2 is equal to the square root of 2x. Now we need to get x out from underneath the square root, so we're going to go ahead and square each side of the equation. Squaring each side of the equation, we're going to go 10 squared. 10 squared is 100. Root 2 squared becomes 2, so we have 100 times 2. That's going to give us 200. Okay, and now over here, root 2x squared, that's just going to leave us 2x. We're going to divide both sides by 2 to isolate x. That's going to leave us with 100 is equal to x. 100 will be our answer. Thank you for watching Preeminent Test Prep. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share, as we will be releasing more videos to help you prepare for the SAT.